Welcome. Today, we are diving deep into the animal kingdom to unpack one of its most incredible stories, reproduction. Seriously, from the tiniest bug to the biggest whale, we're going to explore the absolutely wild and diverse ways that animals make sure their species carries on.
All right, let's kick things off with a little riddle. What could a honeybee, a frog, and a rat possibly have in common? And no, the answer isn't just they're animals. The real answer is so much cooler. It's this deep, fascinating story about survival and adaptation. So stick with me, because how these three connect is pretty amazing.
So, before we get into all the really complex stuff, let's just make sure we're on the same page. What is it that makes an animal, well, an animal? It turns out there's a kind of universal blueprint, a set of core rules that connects every single creature, from a sea sponge to you and me.
So what's in this blueprint? Well, as you can see, all animals are made of these complex cells. Scientists call them eukaryotic cells. They're all multicellular, made of lots of cells, not just one. They're also heterotrophic, which is just a fancy way of saying they have to eat other things to get energy. And at some point in their lives, they can all move, they react to what's happening around them, and, this is the big one for us today, they all reproduce. Okay, so with those basic rules established, the animal kingdom makes its first really huge split. And it's all based on one simple but profound feature, whether or not you've got a backbone.
And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. You've got these two major paths that life went down. On one side, you have the invertebrates, animals without a backbone. These guys are the vast majority of animal life on Earth. Think insects, spiders, snails. Then on the other side, you've got the vertebrates. They have an internal skeleton and that all-important backbone. This is the group we belong to, along with birds, fish, and reptiles.
And now we are getting to the absolute heart of our story. How do animals make more animals? You see, reproduction isn't just another box to check on the list of animal traits. No way. It's the engine of life itself. It is the one thing that guarantees a species will continue on to the next generation.
So, what are we really talking about here? At its most basic, reproduction is just the process of making new life, of creating offspring from parents. It doesn't matter if it's one parent or two, it is the fundamental process that passes genetic information through time. It's what allows life to keep going and to change and evolve.
Now, for animals that have two parents, that key moment, fertilization, when the sperm and egg meet, can happen in two totally different ways. The biggest difference? It's all about the environment. External fertilization is basically a numbers game that has to be played in water. Internal fertilization, on the other hand, is a strategy for life on land. It offers way more protection and a much better shot at success for each and every egg.
Let's take the frog. It's the classic example of external fertilization. The female lays just a massive number of eggs in the water, and the male releases sperm right nearby. It's a huge gamble, right? A high-risk, high-reward kind of deal. Most of those eggs are never going to be fertilized or survive, but by releasing so many, the odds are pretty good that at least a few will make it.
Now, compare that to the crocodile. This is where you see the huge evolutionary jump that was needed to conquer life on land. The crocodile uses internal fertilization, meaning the egg is fertilized inside the female's body, a safe, protected environment. Then she lays these tough, leathery eggs on land, giving the little embryos inside a much safer start to life. And then you have birds, who take this whole protected egg idea and just perfect it. I mean, the hard-shelled egg is an absolute marvel of natural engineering. It's like a private, all-inclusive nursery. It has its own food supply, that's the yolk, a system for waste, all wrapped up in this durable, protective shell. It is literally everything an embryo needs to develop safely, completely away from the water.
And that, of course, brings us to the mammalian strategy, which offers the ultimate top-tier level of protection. For animals like the rat, fertilization is internal, and the entire development happens inside the mother's body. During this gestation period, the embryo is kept safe, it's nourished, it's protected, maximizing its chance of survival like nothing else can.
But, getting fertilized is just the beginning of the story. The journey from that very first cell to a fully grown adult is every bit as diverse and incredible as the methods of reproduction we've just talked about. Okay, first up, let's talk about complete metamorphosis. The honeybee is a perfect example. This is a total radical transformation in 4 stages. The larva that hatches from the egg looks nothing like the adult bee. And that's actually a huge advantage, right? It means the kids and the adults aren't competing for the same food.
Then it goes into this inactive pupa stage where its whole body is literally reorganized before it finally emerges as that winged adult we all recognize. It's incredible.
In sharp contrast, you have insects like the grasshopper. They go through a much more gradual process called incomplete metamorphosis. When the egg hatches, out pops a nymph, which is basically just a mini wingless version of the adult. The nymph just eats and grows, shedding its skin a few times until it finally reaches its full adult size. Much more straightforward.
And finally, check out this timeline for the rat's journey. It's just so fast. Inside the mother, that single fertilized cell develops at an incredible pace. In just 3 weeks, it goes from a cell to a complex creature. By day 9, you've got arm and leg buds. By day 15, the nervous system is forming. And by day 22 or so, the rat gives birth to live pups. It's just, wow.
So we've seen this wild range, right? From fertilization in a pond, to protected eggs on land, to radical body transformations, to internal development. And all of this brings us to one really big question. Why are there so many different ways to do the exact same thing?
And the answer is, there is no single best way. That's the secret. Each strategy is a brilliant solution to a very specific set of problems. The frog's watery gamble, perfect for a life spent in and around ponds. The crocodile's armored egg, a game changer for living on land. The bird's hard-shelled egg allows them to nest almost anywhere. And the rat's internal pregnancy provides safety that nothing else can match. Each one is a masterpiece of adaptation. When you really stop and think about it, every single animal alive today is here because of a long, unbroken chain of successful reproduction. Every one of these strategies we've talked about is a winning ticket in the lottery of evolution. So, I'll just leave you with this to chew on. What does all this incredible variety and ingenuity tell us about the sheer, boundless creativity of life itself?